until about 20 to 8. And so I would like to, 20 to 9. So for those of you who've heard enough or had your piece and want to go, don't worry, we won't be offended. But I did want to give you some time frame that we're still planning on going to. It'll be about 20 to 9. I think the media probably has to get back to Kyle. So if anybody, or if you guys wanted to get anybody before you going, there's Dennis Young here, Tony, as well as the Staff Sergeant. I'm not sure how people feel about Staff Sergeant staying. I know that there was a clause when a gentleman asked him to leave. Do you all still feel that way? Or? Sort of mixed view. Staff Sergeant, I'll sort of take that. You can sort of take the cue from the crowd here about how you want to proceed. Colleen is at work at the desk over there. In the back. Colleen, can you wave your hand? If you have filled out your forms and you want to give them to Colleen so that we can collate this information and send it into the Premier and others, we'd be happy to have it. If you want to go home and type it out, you can do that too and just send it to highland@assembly.ad.ca. But I still wouldn't mind hearing a couple more stories from those who are at the mic. And so we'll just if you want to do your conversations, you might want to move on out into the outside so that we can continue with the town meeting here. And we'll take the next person at the mic. I look forward to hearing your comments.
So Wikipedia has named this the third largest national disaster in North America. 28 communities affected. High River was the only one under a military lockdown and a no-fly zone for 5 days. Why is this?
It's a great question, and I have traveled to the other communities since, and I can tell you it did not happen in Calgary, it did not happen in Medicine Hat, it did not happen in Canada. There was something different that happened here.
Exactly. Discovery Channel was here during the cleanups of the flood. They have done their investigation, and they have stated on TV on September 3rd that the scientists out in Canmore knew this was coming 24 to 72 hours before it happened. And they, through their investigation from their producer, who talked privately on YouTube, that the higher-ups in High River knew 18 hours before, and that there was an emergency meeting between midnight and 3 a.m., which members who wanted to do something about it were asked to leave the meeting and signed the gag order.
I know Betty was here. I don't know if Betty wants to answer that. Yeah, Betty, why don't you come up to the mic and maybe answer that question?
I'm a town councillor, the best lady councillor in town. We received an email on Wednesday. Wednesday, we were told that there was a storm going up the edge of the mountains that was going to drop significant water. It did not say that this would be worse than 95, which I heard. It did not say that. It said that it was going to be higher than the 200 cubic meters a second. That means that we flood the low-lying areas. It did say that. We did not receive anything else till in the night. As Danielle said, there was a call made. Even at that call, we did not receive information that said, you're going to have a tsunami come down that river. We didn't receive that. At 6:30, they woke me from the town office, from the emergency office, said, come sign the order. I went and signed it. Tim Whitford and I got in the truck, looked at his truck, we went over to the bridge, we looked at the bridge, yes, it was up touching, but in High River, that's not terribly unusual. We went to Wallaceville, where my son lived. We went to Jamie Kinghorn's. Their sumps weren't running, and the river wasn't coming up into Jamie's backyard. So we went back. I went to work at 9. By 9:30, the water was coming into my place of business downtown. That's how much warning I knew. And I say to people, if I knew, wouldn't have I gone home and saved my photos of my basement? I don't have them anymore. We did not know. If someone other than myself knew, they didn't let council know. So it wasn't that we were trying to hide this, because we were not. I want a better warning system so that Bring a siren, something to let people know. We need that. But in this particular situation, we didn't know. And I don't even think the river forecasters that were forecasting what this storm was going to do, they knew it was coming. But they had no way of knowing that it was going to just send such volumes of water. And even if they had, even if we'd done everything that we should have done, but the government said, no, you can't go in the river, those fish are spawning, we still wouldn't have been able to stop it in this situation. I saw people running ahead of waves of water. It was just beyond our comprehension. But to answer you, sir, we didn't want to know.
Come to the mic. There's just a couple of others. So why don't you? I'll keep Betty up here, but let me tell you my experience, and it hasn't changed. Joe Anglin experienced this as well. He had wildfires in your day, and they don't let the provincial MLA know, so I didn't know. I found out at 9 a.m. after watching the Twitter feeds in the morning that our town was flooding. And by 9 a.m. we knew it was going to be 1,294 cubic meters per second. And that's 50% higher than what it was in 2005. So I don't know when the actual amounts came in, but by 9:05 they knew it was going to be that amount. I may also just say to you that I have an internal contact in the bureaucracy. That's what happens when you're in this business, you get brown envelopes shoved your way. But I heard earlier today that we have another flood warning going on right now. I don't know if Councilmember Ebert has been told about this, but just wanted to let you know that sometimes the information does not get communicated from the provincial government. And so there was a concern because we got high, just so you know, may as well tell you since you're here this evening, what I had heard earlier today is that we may have 80 to 160 millimeters of rain, which could result in anywhere from 145 cubic meters per second to 500 cubic meters per second coming down. We know that Wildrose floods at 240 cubic meters per second. Why does this information get kept secret? I don't know. I think that this is kind of important information for people to have. Better to know what the worst case scenario might be in the event that by Saturday morning when the high water rises to its highest level, you're not taken by surprise. But I'm telling you that to let you know that I don't think the lesson's been learned. If I have to get someone secretly sending me a text saying, hey, we've got high floodwaters potentially in the Sheep River and Highwood at 10 o'clock this morning, and I'm scrambling around trying to verify with my friends on municipal council, these guys have not learned their lesson. There should be a better warning system, and I don't know that the information is getting to the council members. I don't know that the information is flowing through the municipality. I think we have to go back and look at what's happening with Alberta Environment. They should have known, looking at the deepness of the snowpack and how much it was going to melt, in addition to the fact that they had this weather system over top. They should have had modeling to know we were going to be in some trouble, and it didn't happen this time. So I think all of those things need to be looked at, but I have to say, it seems to me that the problem is a little bit further back. It seems like the problem is at Alberta Environment. Sir?
Yes, I live in the Northwest, and I was just made a point of it that when the RCMP said that none of his men were involved in this because they were all, 4 days later, they were all sent on vacation. So that means houses got kicked in 5 days later. So if they weren't looking to recover, they weren't looking to help anybody. Because if you were to live in a recovery program, the water was gone the next morning. I came here the next morning, they let me in. I walked into my house, opened it, walked in, went back out, went and bought rubber boots for my wife and I. We got garbage bags, we're going to clean our refrigerator out, all we need and everything. I came back, just can't come in. So that there 8 days we were kicked out. There was thousands of people around us that all could have went in and cleaned their fridges out at $2,000 a pop. We had to throw them out. And if you take the doors, at every 1,000 doors is going to run about $2 million. And the refrigerators, you're looking at about a $10 million bill here. And who's going to get stuck with it? Us.
Let me, thank you for your comments on that. You may recall that I stayed in town doing pet rescue for the first 3 days. And it was very interesting because I was with the peace officers, and we had very different rules that we had to follow under the auspices of the peace officers. We had to get phone numbers of homeowners so that when we arrived at their home, if we couldn't find an easy way to enter, we had to call them and get permission to break a window or to enter their property. So the peace officers don't have the same power that the RCMP have, and the peace officers were not breaking down doors. They were entering property, but only with the permission of the homeowner in that whole rescue, which I found kind of interesting. And sir, I agree with you. I mean, when I got kicked out of the EOC on day 4, and when I got kicked out of the town the same day, that was the day that 75% of us should have been allowed to return home, in my opinion, and that's why I started this section.
Also, my wife and I, we both reported in to Blackie and that, and we left the premises, our cameras, our names, and everything on Friday. Our house got kicked in on Monday.
Yeah, thank you for that. And that is another example of that they didn't use the registration list from the evacuation centers. And then they made us all re-register again when we applied for the credit cards, but they didn't use that list either to cross-reference.
When the policeman came around to look at my door, he said they had to do it to secure the premises. I said, how do you secure a premise by kicking the door down? And the door is wide open. Anybody could have walked in.
Good point, sir.
I don't wish to address a singular complaint about a particular house. I wish to propose to you, as the leader of the opposition, that you call in the strongest of terms for a judicial inquiry or a public inquiry into what has happened here, but also in a more general sense, what has happened in this province with a lack of respect for the civil rights of law-abiding, police-supporting citizens. What I take from this, is that it is shocking. It's a betrayal of the trust that people of Alberta have placed in the police and have placed in government. And we are no better than a country like Syria. Perhaps we haven't deteriorated to the point where we're shooting each other or gassing each other. But when that fundamental trust in the foundation organizations that support our society is gone, when that trust is gone, we are nothing. And it can only be addressed by our last resort, and that is a judicial inquiry or a public inquiry with judges whom we still can't respect, even if we can't respect our current conservative government or the police that apparently act under their control. Thank you.
For those who know, I have asked for a judge-led public inquiry, and our municipal affairs minister accused me of politicizing the issues happening in High River. So that's the level of enthusiasm our current government has to look into that. I'm not quite sure what my next steps are going to be on that. I might just do my own public hearings. What the heck? I certainly want to do my own report once this is all over. We have municipal elections coming up, and I certainly don't want to be perceived to be interfering in the municipal elections. Everybody in this room has some serious choices to make. We've got a lot of vacancies on council. I know Betty is running again. I understand a couple of the other council members, Emil Walkland has said he is running again. But we do have a number of choices that need to be made. So this will be my last town hall until that is over, and I intend to write a briefing note to the new council members about my perceptions about what they need to do to fix some of these things so they don't happen again. But as for a judge-led inquiry, I would say that anyone who wants one of those should maybe send an email or a letter to Premier Redford and to Minister Doug Griffiths and let them know that you agree that that is exactly what needs to be done. So thanks for that, Minister.
Thank you. I read a paragraph here in the letter from the RCMP, and it relates to my house. It says, it is also important to note, however, that at that time the entire town site was not secure, with over 300 residents remaining and disregarding evacuation orders and continued excursions beyond the road walls. Beyond that, there were daily instances when people noted to be attempting to breach the security perimeters around the evacuated areas. Well, when they broke into my house, they broke into the closet where I keep my guns, and if the guns were in there in a locked container. They left that closet open, with the container in plain sight. They also left my house open with all our possessions, and probably for 2 weeks, 10 days. As far as I'm concerned, they unsecured 1,900 homes if they only found guns in one.
Yeah, great. some information. There's an individual who was here who shared some information with the lawyer who's here, Richard Fritz. Oh, with Tony? And Tony, I don't know if you want to come up and share that information on behalf of the individual. We'll go through a couple more questions here, but I'll have you go last and then maybe we can wrap up. But I think the individual wanted some information to be shared, but didn't feel comfortable sharing it themselves, so we pass it off to Tony. Sir, go ahead.
I just have a quick question, and it's to do with council. And I'm not trying to put anyone on the spot, but what was council and the mayor doing while all this was going on? I live 2 doors down from Whitford. I came in the second day, cleaned my fridge, spoke to him, left, and when I came back, they kicked the living daylights out of my front door, went through my house, went through the drawers, went through everything. I don't care what the guns, they can take whatever they want. It's the damage that was caused, and since I've come back to town to recover a house, no one speaks to us, the mayor, the council, no one tells us what's going on, no one helps us out. We phone everywhere, we get answering machines. So what did you guys do? I know you were flooded, we were flooded too, we recovered. We had to do a lot of stuff. What did council do? Did they not see any of this stuff going on? Did they not say anything?
First of all, I saw no one kicking in the door. I ended up leaving town in a manure truck, like many other people, and I went to my